ESPN ranked the top 25 newcomer classes, including the 2026 recruiting class, the portal classes. Where did Oklahoma land? We'll discuss here next on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. And if you want more Locked On Sooners with less ads, go check out the Everydayer Club at lockedonsooners.supercast.com. For $5 a month or $50 per year, you can get ad-free access to Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite, not social media platforms, podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you download and listen to podcasts. You also get an invite to a members-only chat featuring Jay and I, where you can ask us questions, dialogue with us about Oklahoma athletics, and you can discuss sports across the Locked On network with your favorite hosts of your favorite shows. Again, that's the Locked On Sooners Everydayer Club at lockedonsooners.supercast.com. ESPN ranked the top 25 newcomer classes that featured the 2026 recruits, as well as transfer portal additions. And your Oklahoma Sooners came in at number 15 in their top 25, Jay.
Yeah, just right behind Tennessee, USC, as well as like Michigan. And USC had like the top class, if I'm correct. They were the top rated high school class based upon ESPN. So yeah, we were still top 15 though, which I think is a good spot, especially with the type of class that was constructed. Jim Nagy mentioned that. We talked about it a couple shows ago. 9,000 snaps while still getting younger, which is crazy. I've been compiling that because I want to see where those numbers are coming from. But that's huge when it comes to those portal guys. And like I said, getting younger, but still adding a ton of experience. And that kind of goes even close to the Signetti formula that he was doing at Indiana, right? He was going after experienced guys, but some people think it's just older ones, and it wasn't. It's also players that fit in the system or played in the system. That's how you can get guys to quickly ramp up if they played in similar setups. And for Oklahoma, that's why Cole Sullivan works, because he's young, he's got experience, but he's the only new person that's going to get significant playing time up front on that defense. That's easy to teach. Very easy. Now, you ain't going to do it for a lot of people. You're only doing it really for him to get him going as a starter. That's going to help this defense maintain its intensity and capabilities. Then on offense, because Ben Arbuckle, a pseudo air raid, similar setup that Kevin Wilson ran at Indiana. That's why Dylan McCullough is a fantastic hire. He ran that same offense with Kevin Wilson in Indiana, or at least similar. That'll make it easy to be able to teach and execute the way that Oklahoma's going to want to this coming season on offense. And so being 15th is a good number. I think the portal guys, as you just continue to look at it, they really did a good job of adding pieces to help John Mateer. Now Mateer's just got to do his job. I think he will. I have no doubt about it. And like we talked about in the last segment, we should be able to put up more points. I just need them to do what they're supposed to do on offense to make it easier for the defense to shut teams down.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job both in the 2026 recruiting class. They found, I think, a lot of guys that fit what Brent Venables wants to have from a defensive culture standpoint. In particular, the guys on defense that just fly to the ball. They're just fast. They're physical. They play hard. They play with intensity. That's the kind of guy that they're wanting to build this defense around. And we see that in Jake Krell. We see that in the Jandros, Jacob Curry, Brian Harris. There's a bunch of those guys on the defensive side of the ball. Then you talk about what they did offensively. I mean, there's star power on the offensive side of the ball. The Bo Bentley addition, the Jonathan Hatton, Jaden Pettit, Daniel Odom, Tyler Ruxer. I mean, there's a lot of star power. Deacon Schmidt on that offensive side in the 2026 recruiting class that I think that's a really underrated class, and it's going to have a big impact at Oklahoma. We're going to see over the next few years how impactful that's going to be, but I think it's going to have a big, big impact. From the portal ranks, they hit the high notes. They hit areas where they needed to add talent and they needed to upgrade their talent. Oklahoma's got some talented wide receivers on the depth chart. You just don't know if they're ready to roll yet, if they're ready to step into significant roles in 2026. So Oklahoma went out and found guys that have production and experience and have produced at the Power 4 level that are ready to step in and be starters for you. You found an experienced right tackle that can step in and be a starter for you. You found tight ends that can step right in and play the position and be what you need them to be in this offense. So they did everything they needed to do offensively to upgrade that and upgrade the talent. It's good. I expect it to be really good this year. I think it'll work a little bit more connected. You bring back Isaiah Satania. We always talk about retention on this thing and how important that is. Bringing back Isaiah Satania, a guy who could have gone to the NFL and would have blown up at the combine with his speed and his quickness in the testing. And again, would have been somebody who interviewed incredibly well. To bring him back for another year, to bring Kip Lewis back for another year, I think that is going to be part of what tells the story for Oklahoma in 2026. So they did a really good job retaining their own guys. They did a really good job in the 2026 recruiting class. They did a really good job in the portal. And that sets this roster up to be as deep and as talented as it's been at Oklahoma since Brent Venables been here. There's only maybe one spot, and that's, the defensive line, where we have some questions about the depth, but that could quickly be answered too, because we trust the guys that are doing the evaluating and the developing at those spots to be able to find answers for Oklahoma.
Yeah, the question is, to me, how much longer is Jim Nagy going to survive here at Oklahoma with some of the wizardry that he's putting out there? Which,
lifetime contract. Let's go.
I know, right? And I think he enjoys the challenge that the collegiate level provides, because his a refresher rosters a lot more than you see in the NFL, and you got to get to tinker and watch the growth, right? Mm-hmm. Like I remember when I talked to him at SEC Media Days, the big thing was the only difference is, understanding how some of these kids fill out, how much more growth do they have as young men before they become, pros and adults at that size. But yeah, they've got some ones that, like the Jacob Curry one is still a very intriguing ad. Like ESPN even mentions it as an intriguing one because he tested so well at all in the circuit when it comes to the combines and stuff for high schoolers. He's the one that tested high, and being able to snatch him away from like Ohio State, who did want him, and a few others. Mm-hmm. The expectation, he could contribute on special teams immediately. Truth be told, I think a lot of the freshmen we brought in will probably see more run in the special teams than probably in years past. Kind of feels like we're going to burn some red shirts with a lot of players playing special teams because they have the ability to contribute immediately there, and then all you got to do is refine their game to get them on the field on whichever side of the ball they need. Jacob Curry, Dane Bathurst, Daniel Odom. Like I said, he's probably the sleeper wide receiver at 6'2", 170 that we don't really talk much about. Top 150 player. He's got it. It's just, now he just needs to we got to see if he can make it happen. And I think he can, because I think that the competition he had in California is a lot higher than most that we had when they had to go up against high school competition.
Yeah, that's a big time addition, and especially because he was one of those guys that committed early in the cycle for Oklahoma and stayed. Like there was no drama, no fuss, no muss about any of it. And it seems at times wide receiver is one of those positions that can be dramatic a little bit. And it never really was for Daniel Odom, even though there was this like hint out there that it could change, but it never did. There was no like concern really whatsoever. So I'm excited to see him and Jazeer Rogers as well. Like that's one of those players that he can just fly. And if he can, get to the collegiate level and deal with the physicality of playing on the line of scrimmage and, working his way through jams and things like that, then he's going to be a dynamic player too. So good recruiting class, good portal additions, and again, good retention. This is going to be a fun roster to break down as they get ready for spring ball next week. And we learn more about what this roster looks like from a height, weight perspective and start hearing some notes out of spring football camp. The Oklahoma Sooners had 11 players land on Pro Football Focus's NFL draft big board. Could this be a big draft class for the Sooners? We'll discuss coming up here on Locked On Sooners.